Good evening, everybody. Hope you're having a nice Friday. Kind of a weird Friday for me. I was a little under the weather, but we got some things done offline. I think the biggest thing that we got done, you can see right here, allocated some more hard disk space to this VM without destroying it, which, congratulations to me. But, whatever. And so, yeah, now we've got, 400 gigs to play with, and I don't think that we're going to try and do this forever, like keep running our system inside of the same, local machine. And we've had some talks with our mayor recently about refactoring so that we have a more service-oriented city and that we think of our teams or our departments that we've been designing as services a little bit. In addition to sort of being the personnel as a service, we also want them to own their services and their data authorities as services. So we were talking a little bit about that split last time. And then I think that we were starting to get into some of that refactoring. We restarted our city, and then I was hitting these performance issues with like 1 gigabyte per second of writes on the virtual machine. Can't be right. So shut it down and did the disk resize and that kind of stuff. So yeah, let's get back into it. I think that we can just pick up with our mayor. We might have to tell it. Um, ah, here you go. What's waiting? So this is more like the behavior I expect when it wakes up. Then it will, read the handoff, read the mail. And no, there was a retro tag sweep. That's good. We have lots of things left over. Yeah, it looks like this text got duplicated a little bit. Um, Maybe that's just an artifact of Tmux or something like that. All right, so we were going to graduate all these entries from staging to production, essentially. We had some QC follow-ups. Um, we had the Smith trying to promote one of our puzzles, sort of our test puzzle. And then the refactor. Okay. Yes, can open workflow beads. Um, the disk is now bigger, so hopefully we are not going to run into any symptoms related to that. Um, I am not sure if it's mentioned in the handoff, but I moved out agent definitions from the city so that they are being pulled in from the pack. The refactor from, maybe we can continue the refactor from there. Um, um, yeah, I don't know what the, not sure what the unread content is. All right. In other news, the this round of the World Puzzle competition, World Puzzle Grand Prix, the puzzle format one, uh, is should the window should be closing pretty soon. So we might try to do some of those puzzles on stream. Um, Now I have my original papers, of course, but I should be able to unlock the PDF as well, and we'll be able to look at those together. I don't think it hurts anybody once the window is closed. But yeah, the scores haven't actually posted, and so I'm just gonna wait until all that happens. But it's in the next day or so. What else is going on? Is that it? I think that might be it. Were we in the middle of a puzzle in Krita? Can't remember that either. Ah, yes, we were working on this Hiroimono, and we might not have any. I was watching back the stream, and I got a sort of idea about how it's supposed to go. Um, okay, so if you'll recall, we were. This is a puzzle where you have to visit these go stones in order, removing them one by one off the board. And they're sort of like pegboard jumping puzzles that are something like this. But the trick with this one is that you number one, you can start from any one of these ghost stones and you're not sure where to start from. Number two, you need to hop to one that's in the same vertical or horizontal line. And then number three, you sort of have to keep track as you're removing things about what the board's going to look like when it's these circles start to disappear. So it is a very much like um, the order is important kind of puzzle. We talked about how there are a couple of pieces on the board that only have one neighbor, right here and right here. And last time we went through sort of various arguments about why you can't start here. If you start here, there's only one place to go, so you take off this one, then you take off this one, and then you're faced with a choice. If you go to this third one, then you're stuck permanently. But if you go to this third one, then you can never reach this one again. Nothing is adjacent to it anymore. So, for that reason, this can't be the first stone that we take. But this one can. And it does turn out to be the one that you have to take. The only one it can reach is this one. And now we can look down to this second one, but there's a rule in this puzzle that says that um, we can't go two opposite directions on two consecutive turns. So if we turn to the south, took a right turn down here, that would be legal, and this would be number three. But if we followed a south with a north, that's illegal. So we can't actually go. We could get to number three, but then we'd be stuck here. So we actually have to go up this way. Um, and we're still stuck. We can't return down to this one. And then we're in kind of a similar position. If we do go north here, we can't turn around to this one. And that would also remove this one's last neighbor. So we can't go north. We've got to keep going this way. And then there are a few forced moves from there. Interesting that we're chugging a little bit. Okay, there are only 50 workflow orphans. The spike was accumulation of closed beads. So we had done most of the ones that we needed to. Let's see here. Okay, so it's still working. I see that we're seeing in the CD the virtual disk that I added to clean up the partitions. We're still we're doing some you know disk writing right now, but it's within normal limits. For some reason, that's we are making the CPU chug a little bit too. All right, still on our forced moves. Like none of these had any alternatives, and we're still in forced moves. 9, 10. Here's a branching. We can take either one of these branches because we went from here to here. That's a south direction. So we couldn't go back north, but we can go east or south. I guess the important thing to think about is if we think we're going to end this way. I mean, there is a pretty obvious looking snake around way. If we did go this way, then we would sort of isolate this as sort of a second end that only has one neighbor, right? And we can't have two ends in this puzzle. It's sort of like a really long necklace that only can have two ends. And we already used one of them to start the puzzle. And we're going to end the puzzle over here. So we can't isolate this one. We have to go this way. And I do feel like this is a little bit hacky because on here, and here we go through. These aren't on the board anymore. They were taken off. I do sort of remember the solution to this one. I sort of referenced it as I was learning the rules and things, but I think that all of our inferences along the way were justified. All right. Oh, well, that's interesting and weird. I don't know why that should be. Is this that? Yeah. It's that same thing where I'm not able to type into this terminal. Don't know why. Oh, whoops. Well, I hope that wasn't anything important. Yeah, I feel like this happens sometimes, and the mayor session is just sitting there waiting for us. All right. That was Hiroimono. Hitori, this is, if I'm not mistaken, this is about, yeah, blackening out the rivals. Yeah. Can have at most one of each number on each row. And we can't have black cells next to each other, and we can't block in any of the white cells. We can't separate them. They must be a single orthogonally connected area. So yeah, we've done that quite a few times on stream, I think. Ichimaga, what's this? Connect circles following the grid lines with lines. At most one line may lead through a grid dot. So there's no crossing. Between two circles, a path may turn at most once by 90. The number in a circle indicates how many lines end in this circle. And all of the circles are going to be connected. If there's a circle that doesn't have a number, then, right, they all have to be connected. So at least one connection. A path may turn at most by once by 90. This is interesting. It's sort of got some elements of bridges or hashi. And then it's got some elements of sort of, well, it's not exactly Slitherlink, but here, let's make some more colorful lines here. Right. And we say they can make at most one turn. They don't cross each other. So for instance, it's illegal for me to make a loop, which would happen if I followed this around. Yeah. there's a number of gimme ones that are sort of so here's another one, for instance. I can't have anything intersecting this one, so to do this one that has 3, I've got to highlight these. Similar for this 2 on the edge, right? And similar for this 3 next to this bendy right here. Maybe the size is a little too big. Is that better? Yeah, that looks a little better, I think. Okay, similar bendy thing here. There we go. All right. Let's see if we were... Okay. I don't understand why it's my turn. Okay, I'm not sure I understand why I had to hesitate there. This 4 right here can't go into the corner. There we go. So an X here and here. This 3, like so. And it starts going like this. And like so. Because it can't re-intersect its own path. We've got this 3 and this 4. And that similar thing is happening as did in this corner. There we go. So yeah, it stops there. This 3 next to this bend. And here's another 3 next to that bend. All right, I think we're almost all the way through the easier clues. And now we start asking ourselves, well, why does it have to be the way that it is? So here's an interesting observation. So say that we came down here with this next line of the 3. The only other place we can go is this way, because these lead to dead ends. If we went this way, then we would have bent twice between 2 circles. So this one can't go down. And again, we can't bend twice to go down to this circle, and we can't go that way. We can't really bend again. I think we have to just go this way. So this is the one that comes in here. This one can't go this way or this way. Got to go this way. This one needs to bend now. This one, there's nowhere for it to bend to. Okay, we're making no intersection with that. This could bend to get to this 3 though, and in fact it has to satisfy that 3. We still got this dangling edge of a 4, and it goes this way. Okay, cool. I think this is kind of fun. I don't think that there's been anything too hard about it yet, but yeah, there's some things about it that are interesting. We haven't really used the fact that we need to connect up all of the circles, but that would certainly be the case over here. this bottom half is disconnected from all of these. Uh, we can't turn left because we'll start skidding into that one, and we can't go right to make a loop, so we have to go up. And again, we can't go left, and we'll skid into that one. And now we can't go left, and we can't go left again. So we're all the way up here. And now it is ambiguous whether this one needs to turn or go straight, and same for this one, turn or go straight. Okay, this 4 can't turn left. It will skid into this satisfied orb. There's no way to go down here because either way that you turn, you'll get blocked. So the 3 paths have to go like this. All right, here we are. Yeah, we could start this cold start verification. Relies solely on GC agent list. I think that's good. Yes, go ahead. Oh, okay. The clean up finished. Yeah, great. It's interesting that it keeps repeating where it says I'm at. Maybe that printed twice, but it sort of looked like it was updating and then bringing me back to where we are. What's the current status? Mm. Well, if we come down from this 2, that's all dead ends because it's this way, or this way. And they're all either islands that are used or this fork path that we can't follow. We go up, that runs into a fork path, so it has to go this way. There we go. Now we would consider whether we can turn or not, but if we turn, we'll skid into one of 2 those. So that means we have to continue on to here. This one is also in a sort of a dead end, excuse me. And then this one's also in a dead end. All right, 2, 1, and then this one has to turn. Okay, so as long as we were looking in the right direction, all of our moves were forced. And we could double check this against the solution, but I think it's pretty obvious that we got it right. Yeah, that's the shape I recognize there. Not bad. I think the weird thing is that we weren't really making any inferences. It was more like we were, just it was clean up from the very beginning. Hmm. I'm not seeing the system being super loaded. I guess the CPU is getting used. I guess it's good that it's doing real work, but it's weird that I don't feel like I'm not stressing it out on my end by, reading 3 web pages or however many. 12, I guess, to be fair. But yeah, the VM's a little unresponsive and I'm not sure why. I was trying to remember if there was a soapbox topic for tonight. I don't. We started talking a little bit about service orientation. I think we went over that before. Um, I guess yeah, there was one thing. Uh, it has to do with creating a product, right? Like all of this stuff that we're doing, it's intended to be in service of a product, right? It's intended to be in service of making puzzle games and sending those out into the world and that kind of thing. And so it may be confusing that we've spent lots and lots of time now on all of this groundwork, right? Um, I feel like this is something that was happening to me, you know, in the last couple of years in my job. Um, there was a time where we were sort of working on a product and we were like all getting ready to make these user tools, and then uh, it turned out that the data that we wanted to rely on underneath them was not reliable in the way that we wanted. And so we could have made our product and we could have shipped something, but because the foundation was wrong, the answers that it would deliver were kind of deceptive. We could say, here's everything that we've got, but we couldn't say, like, and this is the authoritative answer and it's the only thing that there is. I don't know why the VM's being unresponsive. I guess we're going to have to, like, a reboot. Oh, yeah. I guess it could be getting confused a little bit by, yeah. I had this, this should be fine. I had this virtual disk in the boot order. That might do something. I don't know. It's probably still mounted, come to think of it. But again, I don't have any like strong explanation for why. Oh, oops. Why that should be a factor exactly? Like, there we go. Okay, so it's sort of picking up where we left off. Again, I'm watching performance, but it's not like it doesn't seem like a huge anything's going on. Hmm. Okay, cool. Again, that's probably nothing. I'll close some of these tabs. Probably don't need them all. So the soapbox was referring to, yeah, it didn't matter that we were going to make this, program because the foundation wasn't there. And so I think that the point of this is that if we're taking our time and building this foundation and making this product, right? Um, we don't need to see that logic puzzle anymore. It was getting yucky. Um, is that it feels slow. Okay, no responses to this issue that we opened. We can definitely sync our fork here too. We're a couple of days out of date. It shouldn't make a huge difference, I don't think, and we have to build these changes if we want them anyway. Pull and build. Is there a new release? I guess that's a question for the parent. Built-in pack auto includes could be applied twice. So there could be duplicate maintenance agents. Now defaulting to Opus 4.8. Mm-hmm. Okay. And we did power off the VM, so there might be an issue there. It might get confused by the fact that it doesn't have a shell going, for instance. So yeah, it's hard to be patient while you're trying to lay the foundation that your product is going to sit on top of. But we worked on it, a few people, for basically like a year before that data was coming in a scalable manner, ready to go. Then we finally got to do our product, and it turned out that at the end of the day, in that context, the data was more valuable than the product itself. The fact that we had a clean data source, it was used by downstream data teams. Yeah. Okay. Work tree pool. Yeah. I don't feel like we need work trees as much as we need this. Um, the reason why is that the work trees are going to look really different if we actually have um, well, this would start getting complicated, right? Where like right now we have a sort of puzzle mono repo, and we're talking about making different repositories for all of our different you know catalogs and designs and playtests and puzzles, solvers, generators. Um, and it's like, are you going to make packs of packs to do this? How are they going to be laid out on the disk? What does that imply about department routing, concierges, and so on? How do we distinguish between how a department runs, the meta part, versus what the department owns, which is sort of the product part? Workflow as formula. So this has to do with we were talking about how um, each individual department has its own workflows, and that's forming a certain loop inside of our company that will potentially consume the products of other teams and then create more products and perhaps cause some back and forth and that kind of thing. But that is sort of happening inside of an overall loop of creating a new prototype and getting it ready to ship. Um, yeah, let's pack dependency policy. Um, there's lots of sort of like pick different parts of different packs. If we're like, we want to use the gas town as a tool, um, that's a little different than, you know, pulling in our parts of it to sort of make a Frankenstein monster of our workflows and our idea of ordering agents around and its workflows and its idea of ordering agents around and so on. Let's head to workflow as formula. That was kind of weird. Did you see the text go rainbow for a second? Maybe it's on the video. I don't know. Let's head to workflow as formula uh, and try to define some of the larger loops that the rig agents might try to accomplish, e.g., create a new prototype puzzle. As the agents did their individual workflows, there it is again. Meta W to ignore. It's a keyword, a magical. I want to use that. I was reading a paper about this actually today that is super relevant. I'll get to that in a second. As agents did their individual formulas on the example, slither link, but visit every cell, prototype. We helped shepherd the various inputs and outputs to each department, but it seems like there is a lurking state machine or workflow there that would encompass all of those activities. I'm not sure if that's exactly what it's talking about here. Um, the paper that I read was about this topic. It was about, and another thing that we've talked about too, about creating jargon, right? Um, each department is supposed to specialize and it's going to create a way of understanding work that's unique to it or specific to its niche. And while it does that, it might start creating actual language differences. And we can exploit that to understand if a department is acting sort of ex officio, right? If it is doing its cognition jobs um, in the persona that we've asked for, using the expertise and the focus that we've asked for, referring to the notes, that kind of thing. And that if it doesn't talk with a certain accent, then we might use that to detect deviations from working within its charter and area of expertise. And the paper is all about how, in order to avoid misunderstandings and perhaps to, there we go, interesting. All right. This, so interesting stuff it's doing now, I think, that we'll definitely want to go through and read carefully. So the paper, it's about we're going to misunderstand each other as humans talk to machines. Humans will have a concept that's unfamiliar to the machine. The machines will have a concept that's unfamiliar to the human. How are we supposed to bridge these kinds of gaps? And their suggestion is we start inventing words, right? And that's what this jargon is all about too, right? This crossover language that both of us might start to understand, that's specific to this area, that's specialized in nature, is for experts. Um, and so it was interesting to read that paper and go, oh yeah, some of the things that we've been sort of theorizing about or taking as assumptions have actually been validated to some degree by people who are trying to um, work on model explicability or that sort of thing. And so yeah, that felt good. It felt like, oh yeah, we do seem to be on the right track, or these instincts that we have about linguistics and how to reason about the models in some sense. A lot of what we're doing when we're talking to the computer is we're sort of inventing a little foreign language, and that's something that software engineers would say they're doing as well. Usually, they would say, "Oh yeah, oh we're naming things." One of our hard computer science problems, and what we're actually doing is we're designing a small little language or a set of related concepts that are supposed to be in certain logical relations, and there are sort of sentences that you could say about them that have a certain syntax and semantics and so on. And so that's sort of why we haven't solved all of software. You know, it's because there's sort of an infinite number of ways to talk about things, or a rapidly spiraling out of control number of ways to talk about things. And then, each one of these is subtly different, unless I actually borrow somebody else's language, their library. If I do it slightly differently, then the meaning and the context of my problem and who I'm solving it for, who's the customer, all of those things start to play into the API that I've chosen, its verbs and nouns, the data types, and so on. Red Gas Town's idea to plan. It's the closest template. Gastown does have orchestration primitives, again, we can borrow. And we also have that the in Gas City packs, there is a pack that is it says it's Gas City, but again, I have a my theme on this has been hey, that this is actually research plan implement in disguise, right? And so this is another way of thinking about doing longer term projects. This is sort of like can we encode waterfall in a way that the agent can just do waterfall for itself for a while, until it finally, goes and implements everything. So can it go from really high level? And the other idea I think is that at each one of these stages, we're creating certain artifacts, right? Like a requirements MD, engineering design. And the intention when I was looking at RPI at my company was that the human is in the loop, reading their requirements, making sure that they make sense. And finally, when we approve them, then we've passed a quality gate and we can move on to the design and then so on. And it sounds slow and it sounds like, you know, haven't we left this all behind? Don't we know that the requirements sort of fail the instant that you get to them? Um, but in this context, I think it's a little bit different, right? Like, in the context of the aerospace industry, obviously, you're like, you spend a lot of time on requirements because if you make one false move, then you lose months of time, right? Like, I had a friend who worked on like space rocket engines, and there was a step that they had to do in there that took so long that they felt that it was the right choice for quality to manufacture this rocket part in a certain way, and it would just take months basically to do it right. And so you can imagine that if there's a requirements problem with a process like that, then you're going to slip 6 months to start over and make a new one. Uh, in the context of software engineering, and especially of like letting loose Claude on something like this, the window of cycling is shrunk quite a bit, right? And certainly the heavyweight nature of requirements and design checking and so on has changed a lot too. And so I think that this is an opportune time to rethink whether, this RPI or waterfall cycle, suppose that you had a waterfall that you could waterfall several times a day. That sounds a little bit different than doing a full waterfall, right? At the same time, it could write a really long design. Like it could write a 60-page technical document, and it could take you some time to go through that. Um, but by the time you were done with that, you don't have to fix every detail to find some problems, give some feedback, and then let it rewrite things. And again, it's just a much faster process when the robot's in the middle. All right, let's see what it has here. The state machine for create a new prototype puzzle, and it's trying to draw graphs for me and things. Um, yeah, we have sort of the started ask. We synthesize this kernel document. The inventor will make a spec. The antiquarian will see if it's new. The analyst evaluates it. The simplifier will review on this code. Yeah. So there's the outer loop. There's the middle, a middle loop. There are probably more than one middle loop. But the one we found right was um, if there's any rejection along the way, then the inventor has to go back to revise it. And this is the name of the workflow to do that. Yeah. So here, right here, here. Same. All right. Uh, yeah. You notice how we're sort of getting a fun verdict because this is sort of a human level thing. Um, we are trying to sort of quantify fun a little bit, and we'll see how that goes. Yeah. Promote staging entry. We've done some of this stuff. It doesn't know that we sort of rewrote this for not to be like simplifier quality check, right? Yeah. finalization somehow broken. Okay. Are we using convoys? We haven't done that yet. And there was some stuff in the release notes about convoys too. About convoy v2, if I remember right. A queue primitive we don't have today. Gastown's pattern is that if we have beads with metadata and the work query filter, that's the queue. I think honestly, design question 2, yeah. What if we just did it all to pull? It's fine. They'll all be pulling a little bit here. Make the workflow the requester. Yeah, I mean, this is similar to how I understood Amazon Web Services simple workflow to work. Is that we have a workflow owner. You would program workflows, and then its system would run the workflow. It would delegate out to these other different systems, services, call their activities, and then when the activity is finished or errored or whatever, it would make decisions about what's the current state of the workflow, what's in parallel, what's going to fail, what's the final state of the workflow, that kind of thing. Yeah. So this, I think, it's a tried model, at least. I've seen it before. The mid loop needs the prior verdict. Yeah. There's the formula authors. That would be you and me, buddy. uh, yeah. Definitely, I would put prototype puzzle and incremental because it's puzzle related. D1 seems normal. Well, okay. D1. I don't know if we need to adopt convoys yet. Here. Let's go look at the release notes for 120. Where did I see this note? Was it in Discord? I'll check Discord for a second. I'm trying to recall where I read this note, but I think it was about kind of like I'm describing. Essentially, all work in a GC is a convoy. Convoys are durable input and work set. Well, again, I'm not going to try and read you to the Discord. Here's the note. V2 formulas are going convoy first. Maybe I should just like put this up on screen for a second. Let me see what I can do about that. Let's see. And I guess this is good enough. Hopefully that's not too distracting. Okay. Yeah. V2 formula is going convoy first. As formula V2 moves to being on by default, workflow inputs are becoming convoy first. The old mental model was this workflow starts from a bead ID. The new model is this workflow starts from input convoy. A convoy may contain one bead or many beads, but the workflow should not special case that. The main input to use is gc.input convoy ID. If your workflow needs to fan out over each bead in the convoy, use the new drain primitive, etc. Single bead workflows still work, they're just represented as a one item convoy. All right, so I guess the moral of the story for me is it seems like this is changing fairly quickly. Let's do the cheap option. Okay. D2. I think it's good not to have to mix models so much. Can we craft all of these as poll? It seems like each department agent would need to always be polling. I think the alter is to look for aging work and push it to the right agent. Open to opinions. And of course, we've got to go all the way back here. D2. Open to opinions here. Maybe this is something that would go away if we adopted convoys or Gastown conventions on work. Who is the requester? This workflow, dang it, stop it, lead requester is in line with a forum message about formulas being tied to convoys soon. The point is that the overarching how do we want to put that? Input to use will be GC input Envoy ID. For now, we can stop short of using that and make everything work from the workflow level. And again, maybe we're just doing this in the slow way by not adopting all of these community conventions, we're limiting our ability to interact with the other stuff that's going on, as well as limiting our ability to pick up the latest and greatest hotness after only a couple of days. So this convoy workflow thing, convoy formula thing is like 4 days old, hot off the presses this week. Filing a new prototype is a special case of revise with no prior, just making sure we use the same language again. Critique. D5. I think a kernel review by the human is a good gate. At some point, we may want to revisit that. I also think we might want to work on playtester and presenter in parallel. The playtester will have different tools than I do to evaluate the puzzle design. And we might want both signals to render a verdict. And finally, D6. Inclined to leave it in the puzzle pack, as you suggested. All right. And now I guess we're going to see whether we said anything important or whether it just said, sure, boss, and continues on from there. 1 hour hydration reminder. You know what else typing the word workflow is reminding me of? It's like the secret word on Pee Wee's Playhouse. I guess I'm revealing my age there. I haven't seen it in quite a while. I don't know if it holds up or anything. I'm sure it's pretty weird. Okay. Who runs the workflow? Hmm. Wow, it's actually writing a formula. I don't think that we need a puzzle master coordinator agent on day one. And the other reason that we haven't totally brought up yet is that this is a ZFC violation, right? If we're purely doing workflows and coordination and so on, there shouldn't be cognition with this cop directing traffic. It should just be this traffic light. How is it supposed to work? Hmm. Okay. Question new B. Presenter only builds the viewer artifact. Okay, sure. Um, A. Um, yeah, yes. Let's defer puzzle master. Um, it seem it seems like an orchestrator agent when perhaps that orchestration will disappear into the framework, assuming we solve the problems with automatically dispatching ready work. This is sort of the point of the formula too. Codify the manual orchestration we are doing and automate it. Make it deterministic. I think that we're probably both gonna agree on that. B. Um, I think you can add a verdict block as a self check that the visual presentation is adequate. Let's file B's for what we defer and think about it in terms of and add a little context about Gas Town or the new developments in Gas City, potentially changing the plan. All right. So we're going to get a sort of end-to-end workflow. And the next thing that we're going to want to do is run it on a new prototype. One thing that I've been thinking about, you know, we're doing Rainydan, we're making some rainy software. We can probably get some interesting metaphors out of weather. And I don't know if that's a huge theme. Like, I don't think I've noticed any big puzzles around that inside of the Nikori list that we've been looking through. I mean, I might be wrong. Maybe we're just haven't seen it or I forgot something. Certainly, we've seen a lot of maps and geography, but I don't think we've seen a lot of like clouds and wind and things like that. Ah, we did do Joseon. We explored this uh, at some point, I think, as we were going through some catalog entries. Move letters so that all letters in a region are the same. At most, one movement line may pass through a cell. The sections of a movement line run horizontally or vertically between the center points. Okay, yeah, sure. And you get to do paths, but they just can't cross each other. All right, let's see what we got here. Uchi Ochihe Kairo. Ochihe Kairo. Going home, I think, is what this means. uh, Kairo. My pronunciation, obviously, nothing to be super proud of. We're using Krita plenty. We should probably just yeah. There it is. Here we can pin it to our most used programs. Cool. All right, so we're stuck with A's in this one. That means that this C and this B have to leave, but we don't know what that means exactly. We're stuck with this B in this corner. We've got to get the B over here. We've got to get the C to leave. This C is stuck in this corner. This is the land of C. And the D is over here. We're stuck in the land of D. I mean, I think you could be pretty confident that you'd move this D right over here. There's almost no way that it could be more out of the way. Uh, how do you get this A over here without crossing paths with this B over to here? Maybe this B has to leave some room over this away. We're having, and then this B and these C's have to go past this way. Yeah. It's hard to, I mean, a lot of these puzzles are incremental, right? Like, I'd like to be able to not to make too many assumptions and try to start shuffling these in the right way. Yeah, I mean, visually, here, I'm just going to draw some lines that make sense to me. Um, Notice how we've sort of left a couple of slots for these to use. And we're done. Um, it was all just sort of instinctive and visual. We were trying to find lines that wouldn't cross each other. Um, I think it's interesting to think about whether there is a well motivated way that forces you to make some of the lines we did, and which line we would have to draw first. So let's save this one as the visual solution. And let's come back in again. I think it has to be something like, look what happens when we move this in this way. This D is now in the way of this C. So this C has to come up here for sure. And that might be some kind of problem. Look what happens when we move this B in the way. Well, one thing that we can certainly say is that if we spend too many moves getting these letters out of C, and we know that we have two C's left to get into C, then we could run out of room to do that. So, for instance, say that we go like this. Um, we definitely need to leave two paths here, but we also we can't have paths cross over each other, right? Like it's not possible to send this C over to here because then this B is trapped. Same with this one. It'll just get, well, it's not exactly the same, but there is probably some weird path where we can get this C and this B is in here. Now this B is sort of trapped. It can't get into, I mean, now the B is kind of consumed and you can't get to this last cell. But I don't know how you'd sort of build up that solution by increments. Okay. Yes, let's write that formula. Um all right. Yeah, and you can see here they came up with the same solution as us. Uh but it doesn't feel that forced. And so how could you build this solution incrementally? Hmm. I'm not sure I know. Kakuros. These are sort of familiar as cross sums in the Dell puzzle magazines. I think I've done these on stream before. The basic interesting idea is that they're like a crossword where there are cross clues and down clues, and the number of each clue is the sum of the numbers in each row or column, um, as pertains to that. Um, so this is a different sum than this one up here. It's the sum up until you hit the edge of the puzzle or a black square. And none of the numbers can be repeated in any of the clue. So we only get the numbers 1 through 9. And this will be the unique solution. Conjo. Oh yeah, this one did look interesting. I don't think that we've done it yet though. Draw some loops. The loop runs between the center points. It must go through all cells. May cross but never branch. All given sections must be used as part of a loop. Okay, so there's, yeah, again, no branching off. I'm not sure what I understand this means besides never branching off. Cells with the same number are part of the same loop. Okay, so this is actually like a marking different numbers, different loops. A loop must go through at least one cell with a number. So there are only so many loops as there are numbers in the grid. So in this example, 5 loops. Okay, this is cool. Oop, did I do it already? Every cell must be part of a loop. We're already given some of these. And the ones on the edge too, I mean, we can be sure that like there is no, here, probably make this smaller. Like there is nothing coming through here because this would be a branching. There's no way to make this sort of 2 loops crossing or something like that. This one, on the other hand, maybe there is a crossing there and we just haven't seen it yet. I don't know if it's really said if you can add information to this. The given information. Oh, okay. All given sections must be used as part of a loop. I guess that's what this is. The given information is these curves. But I guess it looks like in their solution they can't be altered at all. So that's exactly what's in that cell. Okay. Yeah, hasn't it's just working hard, doing its thing. Guess we'll work hard and do our thing. Well, I guess one thing that we would know about this right away is that they've sort of drawn half of a in each of these, right? We're extending these to the middle of the next cell because that's how all of these loops work. And we don't know yet if they're going to turn or whatever. But this one, for instance, we would know that it can turn because it can't go through here and create a branch. Hmm. Now, I guess what we don't necessarily know is where it goes after it meets in the middle. But like this one, for instance, we would be able to see, oh, well, this has to continue. There's no branching. We wouldn't be sure whether this would branch or not. But it turns out that, yeah, because this one doesn't have this, this is X'd out. That means this one is X'd out too. Right, because we can have overlaps like this, loops around loops, but we can't have 3-way intersections. It's kind of weird that they're only drawing half of the implied clues, right? Because each one of these is implied clues. But I guess they're doing that because they don't want to imply anything about what exactly is in these empty cells. And if they were, drawing those, then they'd be the given information instead of like implied. Hmm. So things are forming. We're trying to see if we can tell how to get this 2 up to this 2, for example, or this 1 to this 1. I'm just going off of these sort of given information bends. Oh, I guess if every cell must take part, that's another thing that we've kind of been leaving out, right? For instance, that means that there's going to be, if we know that if we've X'd out 2 sides for whatever reason, then we know that the other 2 sides are getting used. Or if one of them is X'd out and the other one's the edge, we would know this. And the corner has to look like so. No choice. All the corners have to look like this, in fact. And it's not immediately obvious if we just end the 3 loop right there or if we keep it going. Ah, this is another one of those where these two, we can't intersect them because of branching. Now it's not obvious whether we can continue to the west here or we can go up north here. It is obvious that we can't do both though. This reminds me of the ice barns thing a little bit because if we can't go through on this side, then we can't slide through from the other side. All right. Oh, no, that's wrong. Because we could turn. Should I should try to remain clear about that. Yeah, you're allowed to turn. So this one though, we're stuck here. We can't fork onto the edge and we can't go through this corner. And that one. There we go. Looks like we didn't quite finish all of these. This one though, we've got, well, it might cross over. We're not sure yet. This one we're gonna have to turn. See how our mirror's doing. Okay, we've got prototype puzzle. We've got simplifier review to vertic parallel. We've got some loopback patterns. Yeah. We've got some visual checks. All right. The workflow reads these metadata keys back. And so these are sort of like in the workflow context promises, right? Um, when the promise is ready, then you can go and go do this formula. Um, and if it's not ready, then you can't. And not only that, but you kind of don't, right? Like you sort of hang, one thing the workflow engine can do is kind of hang out on the promises that have been made and use those to define whether the entry requirements have been created for the next workflow and so on. Let's no. Um let's do both and then commit. Then commit everything. Next we would probably want to try to run the whole workflow on a new design. Why did they make workflow the magic word? I'm saying that word all the time. So yeah, certainly the interesting thing is that I think that we've captured all of the given information in its parts, and we started making some inferences here and there. Um, well, here's another interesting one. Because we're not going this way, we're not going to get 3 lines into any cell. And then because we're going this way, I guess we didn't extend that all the way. Okay. Now we're still kind of deciding, are we crossing this way or that way? We certainly can't close the loop on 2 yet because we've got to get all the way up here. We've linked together 4 and 4. We haven't done so for 1 and 1 yet. Ah, why did I make that inference? Why did I infer? I think this is fair. And we knew this, but I don't think we knew. And we know this, but we don't know north or east from here. I don't think. We could know. We have to use every cell, and we haven't used that fact very much yet. Here's a place. We can't connect together 2 cells from 2 different loops, though. So this doesn't happen. So to use this 2, we've got to go through like so. All right, and it turns out that this is on a line with the other 2 already. Right there. And the dangling loops of this 2 loop are right here and right here right now. We can't cross through here because that would link these two together, the 5 and the 2. All right. Therefore, we have to intrepidly go this way and cross through there. And we're linked up all the way to here. This might be a turn or it might be a two-way. I'm enjoying there's interesting aspects of this puzzle. I think the no three-way is a useful thing. Understanding all the given information has been helpful. Why is it saying? Oh, okay, I see. You want to do all that work again? All right. The commits landed. Okay. All right. For the next session, it's sort of telling me I want to stop now. Let's fix the gaps first, then. Yeah, let's fix the gaps first, sure. It thinks of it a certain way. I'm okay with letting it think of it that way. This is a sort of like a delegation kind of idea, right? Like, I don't mind it trying to do its work in the way that it understands. And I don't have a big dog in this hunt. Cool. It is sort of weird that these things need to know their place in the workflow in order to set that metadata. I think that the way that this would normally be done is like the workflow is going to call a well-defined service activity with well-defined inputs and well-defined outputs. And when it receives those outputs, it's going to plumb them into the next input or as a promise or that kind of thing. And so each step of the plumbing is going to be type checked and it's going to say, my input is their output. They are the same. And as long as the workflow can sort of get those inputs and outputs sort of shooting around to the appropriate workers, then everything is fine. It would be weird if the service activity that was created for a certain specific, well, say generic activity, right? Like we don't want to design the individual things that we're doing around a workflow. We want the workflow to be designed around the sort of well-designed, well-scoped, highly cohesive, reasonably complete looking API. And so we're designing our API in a kind of ad hoc way right now with like, oh yeah, this guy's just going to look at the catalog and see if this game is in there. And this guy is going to It keeps saying guy, but neutral. This agent. This agent's gonna you know, try and write a solver for this. And writing a solver is kind of a self-contained activity, right? Like it's a stateless activity where if somebody provides you with an input design or a kernel, then you will try to output a solver, right? And it doesn't matter where that kernel came from or where that solver is going because you're just focused on that sort of section of the job, right? And if the whole thing were redesigned around you, as long as what's happening in your workshop to create that solver is the same, you don't care, right? The whole world could kind of go away and you'll be focused on your job. And so it's weird to be adding bead metadata that has some of these outputs or verdicts when in a sort of service oriented architecture, right? We would just have well defined inputs and outputs anyway. And the workflow would just be piggybacking off of that instead of the other way around. Like imagine if you were trying to do your job and you had to know about the constantly shifting world outside of your workshop. Um, you get blocked a lot. Okay. How is it changing things? Interesting. All right. Okay, so it's been committed. So it's in the repo now, or it's at least in the local repo. Okay. Sure, let's do one. Let's rerun it, as you said, on the kernel. Visit every cell, i.e., no no cell. Every cell has at least one edge used in the final solution. Okay. Yeah. So I would obviously classify this as like a variant. Um, it's not like a new puzzle. It's Slitherlink with another restriction. And the idea of this must visit every cell restriction is that you know you don't want to use that inference once, right? It's sort of like you just do a regular Slitherlink, and then you at some point you need to like use the fact that this rule set includes must visit every cell, right? Um, Imagine if there was just a Slitherlink that you were just doing with the normal rules, and it just so happened that you visited every cell. You never had to use that rule to make any inferences. Well, then it's kind of a superfluous, unfun rule, right? Um, and so it's much more fun if having a rule like that allows you to eliminate a lot more given information from the puzzle. And then you have to use this fact, this special rule, this special variant rule, um, you know, a few times at least, a number of times. Maybe it causes you to do something interesting. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yep. An empty interior cell forces adjacent edges. An interior region of empty cells is impossible, as no loop can cover it. Yeah, I think that's pretty good, right? That seems fine. That seems fine. Let's go with it. All right. And hopefully, I mean, some of these, would I have said it this way? Probably not. Um, but it's okay. Let's see what it can do. I'm willing to let it try for sure. See another corner here. Ah, okay. Okay, we've made it to our one. We can't close the loop by going to the left because we've got another one to include. And we can't go down, so we've got to go to the right. And another interesting thing kind of is happening here, which is that some of these sections, when they finally reach one of these numbers, you could imagine that they're all lighting up in a certain color, right? And that none of the colors can touch each other. So for instance, if I went over this again, there's some funny things about what I'm doing right now. But the main funny thing is that sometimes you can't tell if it's going to turn or not. I guess when it crosses, it really does have to cross though, right? And there are certain places that we know it has to turn. Right here, for instance, I don't know whether to go left or to continue across. But these colors at least I can be really confident in. And yeah. And so, for instance, we can have these loops cross each other, the three, but we can't have them touch each other. I don't know how else to say that exactly. Hmm. Here's the no three-way rule in action. There we go. Here's no three again. No three again. We might just be able to close the for loop right here. And the two would kind of do this long thing. That would sort of cut off the three loop right here. We'd be kind of figuring out what to do here. Ah, you know, this this two loop might not be right because um, it might have gone straight here, then yeah, it's not immediately obvious. And then x'd over this way. In fact, I think it probably is going to have to do that, but we will see. So we got to go through like this. Implies that this is going through like here and here. Okay. Okay. Can't close this up here, so it's got to continue. Okay. This is the three-way thing. All right. We have a completed loop. We have one all by itself. I'm enjoying this puzzle. I think it's it builds incrementally. Okay. End of attempt. Agent didn't auto wake. Might just need more than 30 seconds. I haven't seen that before. The imported pack session isn't coming up. Huh. We might be partially convoyed already. It seems like we keep running aground on A. I'm inclined to pick that. I suggest we look at open issues to see if this is a common problem. Let's try to be specific about the problem we're having with pack defined agents and reproduce what others might be seeing. All right. So yeah, it seems like a pretty simple thing that like we want to figure out how to get our agents running. It says it worked today, but I don't know if this is today or like it probably was at least yesterday. Let's see if we can find some find that notes thing that's talking about. Puzzle cutover. This is more of a cut over. Hmm. Oh, right. It wouldn't be here. It would be in our pack. All right, here we go. Well, at least that's kind of working. Oh, no. Sure enough. I mean, interesting. Like it says, it's finding leads in issues. All right. 3 minutes. Oh, it got excited about this. There's an active inventor session that materializes a different beat ID. It spawned the agent with a hash name instead of our bead name. Classic. Well, I don't know. It might be overfitting. Might be overfitting here. Why don't we read this one too? 1542. See how believable this is. Oh, come on now. I'm pretty sure I had that selected when I started typing. Okay. This is blocking pool auto scaling. Okay. Yeah, I guess that's an interesting way to put it. Yeah. Are we a pool target? Bypassing the dispatcher. Obviously, don't like. And this is like over a month old. Lots of people mentioning this. Hmm. Okay. A known issue cluster. Okay. Cool. Well, if we believe that, then I guess we believe that the mayor knows how to, get all of our agents going. And we're probably going to want to remember this until it's fixed. Okay. RGC is 1.11. Well, we have built it recently. Is that the right version number? You notice it has kept changing the numbering system. All right. Maybe. I don't think it's just having fun. I think it's trying to disambiguate by creating new words, neologisms. Neologism? 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 Anyway, new words. Uh, so that we don't create ambiguous vocabulary about the previous number ones and A's and B's that we had. Okay. Okay. GC sling on. Yeah. Sure, sure, sure. Keep doing beta and fix the formulas. You might also want to remember reference that how to uh, about this issue since we've debugged it a few times. About this cold start issue. Hit it a few times. One other weird question, I guess. Yeah, we've had a release. Maybe I just haven't pulled the tags. I don't know. And I don't know why this is going so slow. Oh, it's doing a gigabyte of writes per second inside of the VM. I mean, at this point, the VM usually, becomes unresponsive or crashes. But I'll give it a minute to subside before we kill it and start again. 2 hour mark. This is the painful side of trying to use these new systems to do what we want. But on the bright side, I mean, I think we're seeing a lot. We've sort of vetted our like prototype an entire game formula. I don't think that we've seen the tail ends of that formula, like the visuals come into effect. But yeah, we'll be able to see that at some point. Okay, I see the rights. No, I think they're staying about the same. Okay. Time to kill the machine. No, it's coming down. Wait, no, and back up. Very difficult to. Yeah. The SSD is definitely working hard. Oh, hey, are you back? Are we here? All right, it's recovered. The amount of writes going back up a little bit, but I was it's probably still working hard. I don't have a great way for it to notice, hey, you're you're making my VM unresponsive. 1,000 megabytes per second is too much. I think that we synced our repo recently. We have tags for version 1.2.1. We don't even have tags for the version that we have 1.1.1. That's kind of weird. All right. Cool. All right. Well, it didn't die. It just was busy, I suppose. And this is one of those things where it would be nice to have a working version of this GC dashboard. I think that we looked at this once or twice. But... connecting. It says it's in startup. Yeah, it's hard for, I mean, I don't think this thing is really telling us anything right now. Um, yeah, not super useful. I think we're probably going to get more out of the, there we go. And we don't get end curses inside of Emacs, so. All right. We've got some active sessions. We've got the mayor. The inventor was working hard. We've got the antiquarian going. I'm sure it takes a lot of time to look through. Okay. You know, we haven't tried to optimize it all. The novelty check, which is ideally, I suppose, like comparing this new design against the 400 or whatever designs that are inside of this catalog. Yeah, there's 450 things in prod right now. And so, but they're not like indexed or anything like that. They're all just like markdown files. And that's obviously a change that we could make, assuming that we don't want it to just read hundreds of files every time. I mean, it's tempting at this point to sort of make a sort of visual solution and say, oh, well, I can see that if we made this loop around, it would be part of the 2 loop, and this could cut off. And the 3 would cut off here, and the 5 would go through here, the 4 here, and the 2 here, and we're kind of done. But it would be nice if we could you know, logic our way all the way to the end. Oh wait, so that's wrong. We don't know if it crosses over like so and so. Actually, we can be sure that this doesn't cross over because this would mingle the 5 and the 2 together. So this isn't like this. That's very helpful. And then this one has to go this way and cross over to there. There we go. Now I'm just, yeah, not making 3 entries into each one. And then this one is forced, and so this would also be forced. Okay, cool. And then this is a not 3 one. This is a not mingling one right here. There we go. Yeah, I liked the inferences and things that we did. And this is not mingling also. So stay on your side. Cool. And yeah, at this point we've yeah, solved the whole puzzle. I really liked this one for some reason. I don't know exactly what it was about it, but it was fun. I think we were learning about how to handle crossings. That was interesting. All right, still seems to be busy. Now, I wouldn't say that these are all of the significant puzzles in the whole world, but I don't know. Experience is teaching me that they're kind of the best of the best. Enter a number between 1 and n over 2 in each cell of the grid, and it's the size of the region. So if there's 2, we've got to enter between 1 and 1. Each 2 cells in a region form a domino. The numbers in the 2 cells of a domino must be equal. So we have to have paired dominoes. We've got a 1-1 domino and a 2-2 domino. The same numbers must not cover an area of 2 by 2 cells. So we can't have a 2 by 2 next to a 2 by 2. That would also sort of make it ambiguous where the dominoes were. A number in a black border indicates the sum of the numbers in the adjacent y cells. Okay. Well, this one feels like it'll go really fast, but I've done some other domino stuff in the past. What does Kazunori mean? Kazunori no heya. Heya means room. Let's see here. Ka zu no he. Of course, it doesn't say. Kazunori no heya. Kazunori's room. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, as we mentioned, we need numbers from 1 to n over 2. So in this region of 6, we're going to have the double 1, the double 2, and the double 3 in some order. And we could even, because of the way that it's laid out, we could know that the dominoes are here, here, and here. There's just no other way to put 3 dominoes into this region. And same here. They got to be here, here. This one's is more ambiguous, whether they're up and down or left and right. Here we have a region of 2, and we can only do numbers from 1 to n over 2. We know that the sum's got to be here, 1. We know that there's going to be a 1 here or here, but we can't have a block of 4 ones. And then we know, because this is region size 4, got to get numbers to up to n over 2. There you go. Okay, we know we're going to have 1s or 2s here. If we have 1s, then we're not going to be able to get to 5. To get to 5, we got to put our 3 here. And to avoid making a 2 by 2 block, we've got to put some 1s here and 2s here. Very, very simple. But I'm sure that it could get more complicated with weirder region shapes and that kind of thing. And we might be like, making notes like in a Sudoku. All right. Okay, we're already at step 5. Inventor and antiquarian. Analyst dispatched cleanly. It's got to work hard, I think, to get over to, to make a solver and that kind of stuff. The workflow design works end to end at the department coordination level. The framework session bead state tracking is unreliable. The Claude runtimes are fine. Pulling the work bead, not the session bead, is the right pattern. Yeah, well, I mean, it's hard to tell, right? Um, because they might have notes from doing it before. It would be better, in my opinion, to start them on a fresh concept. Okay. If we started another parallel um, prototype right now, we'd want to have the work trees thing because they would start to get confused about where's the work product and what if they both use the same nomenclature for in-flight kind of thing. Although I think that there are actually namespaced away from each other in different directories, like per prototype kind of artifacts, um, all separated by the name. The last time we looked at that pattern, I think that's what we saw. I think we can perhaps see that in here somewhere. We've got puzzles, playtests. We've got this name that I think has been used in the past. We just moved all of this content over. Yeah. So hopefully it won't get too confused about the fact that it's working on loop touches every cell again. Um, all right. Do we want to do the work trees thing yet? I mean, I'd really prefer that we did this linear workflow end to end with one set of everybody not getting too confused, and then we sort of move on to the next one. Um, there are also certain enhancements that we were hoping to make to our agents, like the the memories and the conversation search. Memories and reflections, I think, was the first one that I was interested in. I mean, we can just go steal those from the old. That was weird. Did that crash the terminal or did I just close it by accident? I wasn't watching super carefully. I'm not seeing like huge performance issues. It's using some CPU, but there's still more. Hmm. Curious. Ah, we're getting lots of disk writes again of the gigs per second variety. I really do think that we need to figure out some kind of hmm, reservation of resources so that the VM remains responsive. I mean, this is sort of why one reason among many that people are talking about containerizing agents and containerizing cities and things like that is so that your control plane, right, like this, is not affected by your little worker bees going off the rails or getting really busy or something like that. Um, I guess what we'll do is we'll try and leave it there. Like, we think they're doing some work. Um, we hope that they are having a good time. The VM's unresponsive, but hopefully we'll just pick up from right here and we'll see what all happen. So, once again, thanks for being on the journey with me, and I hope you have a good night. See ya.